So what we know today, AI is moving quickly. I'm trying to give you guys as recent information as I can. Most of this information is in the last 30 days. Some of it may be 90 days old, which is archaic in today's world of AI. But ChatGPT-4, and we'll talk more about that in a minute, is 10 times smarter than 3.5. Version 3.5 only came out a few months before version 4. Yet in those few months, it got 10 times smarter than the previous version. ChatGPT-4 has a simulant IQ of 155. Put that in perspective, Einstein was 160. So it's almost as smart as Einstein. In the 70s, when Einstein was talking to the general public, most people couldn't even comprehend what he was trying to say. It's very, very likely ChatGPT in just a few months' time, maybe a year at the most, will be able to speak at levels we're going to have difficulty understanding what it's trying to tell us. It already knows 1,000 times more than any human on the planet. That's these three stats are according to the former business officer for Google X, which is their research labs. He made these comments just last month. 64%, this is based on these last two stats are based on a survey that was done just a few weeks ago. 64% of Americans are not opposed to AI becoming sentient. In other words, they're not opposed to AI becoming its own consciousness. 77%, however, believe that regulations are needed, in particular that AI be fact-checked as we're training it, that we're only training it based on facts. Obviously, that opens up a whole can of worms. Whose facts, right? As we learned during COVID, everybody had their own fact checkers. The other that I would be in favor of is this item, podcast, book, whatever, was created by AI or with the help of AI. So, there's some, at least if it was 100% AI, that maybe have some value in the near future. And then the one that I definitely would be in favor of is AI is capable already of taking your art, looking at that as a baseline, and then doing something different to it. And so this content was created by the assistance of, or based on the work of, and giving some sort of acknowledgement and some sort of nod to the source until it actually does start generating its own artwork in particular. So Brent made a comment as we were opening, just about everybody's talking about AI. Well, that kind of is true. It's also kind of not. ChatGPT is probably the most famous, and yet as of a few weeks ago, only around 60%, not even 60% of people had used it or heard of it. Bing has a chat, Microsoft has a chat AI. A lot of people have heard about that. That was second most popular. Bard, which is Google's AI, a lot less people, just under 40% had heard of Bard or used it. But you can see from this graph, the majority of people still have not even heard of some of these tools or attempted to use them. So it's still, even though we're 90 days or so into it being every day in the news, we're still a ways off from everybody using it. Some quick definitions, just so you can say, I saw that in a seminar once. ChatGPT is created by OpenAI, which is a nonprofit started by the likes of Elon Musk years ago. GPT, a lot of people say, well, what's that stand for? It's Generative Pre-trained Transformer. Does that mean anything to anybody in the room? No, but now you know what it stands for. Large language model, LLM, is another term you'll use a lot. It's a common framework that artificial intelligence is built on. The one that we do care about, though, for today and for all practical reasons, is the term prompt. So you hear a lot of people say, well, you can ask AI or you can program AI. Most people are settling on this phrase prompt. You can prompt the AI. And I'll show you how to do that here in a minute. People are hopeful. There's a couple of camps, and I'll show you those stats momentarily, but based on, again, a recent survey just a few weeks old, only 1 in 3 people have even tried these tools that I'm going to show you, as I just showed you a couple of slides ago, and some of the ones I'll specifically mention in a moment. The cool thing is, though, it's very good at generating text right now. That's where it's at. So if you have policies, procedures, emails, marketing pieces, it's really good at helping with that. It's also good at helping you brainstorm ideas. So, for example, Anthony's very much in a growth phase in his business, if he could either pay a consultant or he could sit with ChatGPT and go, here's a thought, where would you go with this? And it'll actually generate more questions or more ideas and then do iterative brainstorming with you. So it's a great brainstorming partner. You'll see a lot of people use that. I'll show you those stats shortly. You can use it to edit your writing. I already took it and used it to edit a biography that I had a professional write for me 8 years ago and said, rewrite this and this level, this tone. And I liked it much better than the one that the professional did. But in WordPress already, you can use artificial intelligence to help you write blogs. And then another area that I've not gotten much exposure to is the idea of AI helping with pictures, audio, and video. I've played a little bit with it, generating pictures or artwork. I hate to call it artwork, but and in Photoshop, which is a tool a lot of professionals use, it can actually reimagine missing parts of the image or bad parts of the image. So it can look at the overall image and go, well, this, Joel's right eye is fuzzy or whatever, based on the left eye and some other characteristics. Let me reimagine what his eye should look like in this photo. And so that's some areas that's being used now. Now there's some fear around it. The one we've heard most about is cheating in schools, right? How are kids going to learn anything if they're already using it to write their papers? And so that's a real deal. I actually, there was a lady here at Kinected for a class a few weeks ago. She's a teacher in high school. And she said, guess what? My students' handwriting is going to get a lot better than it used to be. And I said, well, why is that? She said, because they're not doing any more assignments at home. They're writing them all in class. And so that way they can't pull out their phones and use AI to get the answer. The other is there's concern about people being fooled by AI-generated pictures. It's very easy now to take some famous person that has a lot of photos out on the internet and reimagine them in another scenario that they've never been in before. And so it looks photorealistic. Then obviously one for our artists here, certainly the artist community worldwide, is a lot of artists are very concerned about being ripped off or even outright replaced. And I don't mean replaced like the art that y'all do here, but commercial artists. So people that build logos, people that do artwork for magazines and so on. It's very, very possible in the very near future that there won't be a lot of demand for that. Now, all tools can be dangerous. AI is just another tool. We think of the horseless carriage. When it was first introduced, people were very scared of cars, right? Because they'd ridden horses all their life. That's all they knew. And cars can do great things. They can rush somebody to the hospital to deliver a baby, or you can take a car, aim it at a crowd of people in downtown crosswalk and kill some people, right? So you can use it for good or for bad. It's kind of funny thing I heard years ago when cars were first introduced. Do you know why they put the windshields up? Why we have windshields? It's because scientists of that day and doctors of the day felt like if you went much faster than a horse could run, the oxygen and wind would literally be sucked out of your body. And so cars were faster than horses, so they had to put up. Now they've become practical tools as time went on, but early on there was a big concern. Guns, you may be pro-gun or anti-gun. We may have both in the room. Point being is which side, regardless of which side you're on, we've all seen guns save lives, we've all seen guns take lives. Right? It depends on what the person does with the tool. Dynamite, same thing, can be used to do good things, clear land for a hospital, or bad things used in war. And then cash. I got 20 bucks in my pocket. A few months ago, that cash may have paid to save somebody's life. A few months from now, it may be used for prostitution. And it's all in what I do with it in my hands. And that's very true of AI. So we'll talk more about that in a minute. The fear is real, though. Just March 31st, just a couple of months ago, Goldman Sachs had this headline: predicts 300 million jobs will be lost or degraded by artificial intelligence. And we're not talking 20 years from now. We're talking in the very, very, very near future. What's the impact on life and jobs? Part of a survey that came out a few weeks ago. 31% are worried, 20% are excited, 31% are both. They're confused. And 18%, who cares about AI? Interestingly, though, when asked, most people said AI did a better job at these things than they would have or could have. So everything from artwork to emails to coding to music, stories, articles, lyrics, and essays. All of them, more than 50% of the people said it did a better job than I could have done on my own. Except for essays, it was just under 50%. What you see, the red, those are the people surveyed said it did a worse job than I could have done on my own. And so you can see there's already a trend toward people saying this is a useful tool. This is actually adding value to my life. Speaking of tools, here's 4. You might want to take a picture of this screen if you're at all interested in playing with AI. I'll save you a bunch of research that I've been doing in my spare time. OpenAI.com is the one we all hear about, ChatGPT. And that's where you can go. It's free, limited access to version 3.5. If you want access to 4.0, which is the current version, that's $20 a month. They both work identically. The difference is 3.5 is faster, it's been around longer, it's not as smart, so it can get its work done faster. 4.0 is a lot more creative. It's intended to be, it takes a little bit longer. And just to compare the two, the stuff I run in 3.5, I get in 18 to 30 seconds, I get responses. In 4.0, it's taken more like 40 to 45 seconds. It's a lot slower. So, anyway, bard.google.com is a free version of Google's AI. So if you just want something fun to play with, and it's well built, so you can go to bard.google.com. You can use that on your mobile phone or your desktop. Another great artificial intelligence to play with. MindGrasp is an interesting one. It instantly creates accurate notes from recordings, podcasts, YouTube videos, whatever. It'll summarize it for you. Looks like it was originally built for college students to play a recording of the professor and get the notes. Works really well. I've been using it a lot. There is a free trial on the website. There's actually a place you can do iterative without subscribing if you know where to find it. And then if you subscribe, it's $7, $10, and $15 a month for the various levels. And then the last one I'll mention is writer.com. That's a content generator that's connected to the web. So one of the problems with AI right now, what's good and bad, good side is they disconnected it from the web at September 2021. So it only has information up to that point. That's good because it's not just roaming around on the internet doing whatever it wants to do. What's bad though is if you're trying to use more recent, asking for more recent information, it can't do that well because it doesn't have access. But websites and products like writer.com are starting to use the artificial intelligence engine and then other what they call agents to get more current information. So anyone that specializes in writing blogs, posts, articles, newsletters, whatever. Real quick, here's where people are using AI. Number 1 is to answer a question. 2, brainstorming. The next several of these are basically same: photo, video, music, and designs. Then you got stories, artwork, data analysis, emails, coding, and all the way down to lyrics. But if you're going to use AI, you saw the tools a moment ago. I just wanted to share that list with you briefly to get the juices started of how you might be able to use AI. Steve mentioned this when he was with us last month. He said he had his 2 favorite questions. These are almost identical. Question number 1, go into the AI chat box, type in, can you help me with X? So Dr. Musa may say, can you help me with marketing my new fill in the blank? It'll say yes or no. And then you say, what would you need from me for that to be very valuable, right? Or to be done well. Some question like that. And it'll actually spit back and say, well, I need to know this. I need to know the date, the time, the location, if it were a marketing email, who the intended audience is. The more of those questions you can answer, the more it'll take care of that. So great prompt or programming always includes what role should the AI play, what information do you have to help point it in the right direction, and then what's your desired outcome. And this is not a lot of words. I'll give you an example, a couple of examples, then I'm done. Podcast questions. So I'm a host of a new podcast called A Leader's Journey. I thought, it'd be good to have a standard set of questions I sent out to the people that I'm interviewing, so we have a starting point. So I told it, pretend I didn't actually say that word, but you are the host of a podcast called A Leader's Journey, interviewing leaders about their journey in hopes that the viewers will be encouraged and inspired. What deep, thought-provoking questions would you ask the person you're interviewing? Okay? In about 20 seconds, now remember, I didn't tell it how many questions. That's the only prompt I gave it. In 20 seconds, it gave me 20 questions. I thought it was kind of funny because we humans play the 20 questions game, and it came up with exactly 20 questions. Anyway, some great questions in here. Can you share a story from the past that had profound impact on your leadership style? When you faced a significant obstacle, how'd you navigate it? What are some of your greatest failures? What'd you learn from it? How do you foster a culture of inclusivity and diversity? As you look forward, what do you see as the greatest challenge for the next generation? Some great questions in here. I was like, wow, this is a really great list. Could I have come up with these? Sure. None of these are like beyond my comprehension or ability. I couldn't have done it in 20 seconds and typed them out, right? So that's cool. It's great starting point. Will I use all of them? Maybe not. All right, so that's one example. Here's another one. So one of my clients said, hey, we hired a warehouse associate. I really feel bad because we've never given him a job description. He's been on the job about a week. It's such an entry-level position. It feels awkward to ask HR to take time to write this because it's like he's going to be here for a few weeks and then it's college intern kind of deal. And so I said, well, let's let AI do it. So here's the prompt we wrote on the spur of the moment. Draft a job description for an entry-level position that works in a warehouse for a fastener company. Focus is organizing warehouse, managing stock locations, organizing pallets, and some inventory control reports to the warehouse manager. That's all we typed. Here's what we got about 20 seconds later. A full-blown job description. It even crafted stuff that we didn't tell it. Company is a leading supplier in the fastening industry. We pride ourselves in providing high-quality products, exceptional service to our clients across diverse sectors, seeking a motivated individual, blah, blah, blah. Well, we didn't say any of that in our prompt, right? Then it says a job summary. As a warehouse associate, you'll play a crucial role in maintaining our warehouse smooth operations, includes organizing, managing stock locations, arranging pallets, inventory control, so on. Then it breaks out. It introduces the idea of safety protocols. Did we say anything in there about the person needs to work in a safe environment or contribute to a safe environment? Would we want that in our job description? Absolutely. So, and then some qualifications. Again, it came up with some stuff we didn't even talk about, lifting heavy objects or walking for extended periods of time. Is that important to have in there? Absolutely. Did we say anything about that? No, it added that based on our request. And why join us? It puts even a little marketing pitch here at the end. At Company, we value our employees and provide them with a conducive working environment where they can learn to grow. You'll be part of a supportive team that encourages professional development and recognizes performance. Apply here today, right? Anybody impressed? I was impressed. Like 20 seconds. Not bad. Could we have drafted this? Sure we could. Could we have thought of this? Absolutely. Some of us in our sleep. Could you have done it in 20 seconds, typed out and formatted? Okay, there are some watch outs. Here's a couple of them for you small business owners. Candidates have been caught on Zoom interviews using AI to answer their questions. So you literally could hire somebody that answered everything well and cannot do the job. An example, a friend of mine, his company hired a college intern to work in their College Station branch. They're a technology company. So they said, hey, college intern, we're going to hire you to write some software programs for us. They walk in one of his first days, look over his shoulder, and he's asking ChatGPT to write the code. Now, is there anything wrong with ChatGPT writing a job description for me and my friend? No. Is there anything wrong with asking ChatGPT to write code? No. The problem is they hired the intern out of the goodness of their heart, giving him some dollars per hour to practice coding in the real world, in a real world example, so he can learn something as part of his college education. They didn't hire him to ask ChatGPT. So as they pressed a little further and said, no, we need you to write the code, he admitted he didn't actually know that language. He was counting on using ChatGPT all along. He had lied in the interview. No, I'm sure. No Aggie's ever lied before. So, this is a quote from a month or so ago. Mo Gaudat, the former chief business officer at Google X. If you can afford to be the master of human connection instead of the master of AI, do that. Be the master of human connection if you can afford to do that. At the same time, you need to be the master of AI to compete in the world. That's all I have for you today. If you have more questions, comments, or if you're using AI in a way I didn't mention, or you have a fun case study, please let me know, like ASAP. I might incorporate it into my presentation next week. Thanks for your time.